My name is Melissa Nguyen. I'm 34 years old. And for the past 10 years, I've worked as a CPA at a mid-sized firm in Pasadena. I don't have a husband. I don't have kids. And until recently, I didn't have a mortgage. But what I did have was a plan. Every month, without fail, I moved a portion of my paycheck into a high-interest savings account. I skipped vacations, ate leftovers more often than I care to admit, and held on to a 12-year-old Toyota because it still ran just fine. I told myself that when I finally had enough, I'd buy a place of my own. Nothing fancy. Just something mine. The plan was never really about the condo. It was about proving to myself that I could do it without help, without drama, and without owing anyone anything. And so, I kept my head down, worked long hours, and lived quietly. The only thing I didn't keep entirely to myself was the account. Years ago, during tax season, my mother suggested I add her as a joint holder. She said it would help streamline things if I ever needed to move money quickly or handle deductions. At the time, it made sense. She was the one who taught me how to balance a checkbook when I was 10. I never thought to question it. It wasn't a trust issue. It was family. And in my family, questioning my mom was never really something we did. She could be intense. Yes. But she always said she just wanted the best for us. For me, looking back, I think that was the first mistake. Not the account. Not the savings. But believing that just because someone said they loved you, it meant you were safe. It happened on her birthday. We were at a restaurant in downtown LA, the kind with white tablecloths and servers who refilled your water after every sip. Mom had ordered the sea base. Dad was quiet as usual. And Brian was showing her pictures of some sleek townhouse in Woodland Hills. She was glowing. I'd seen that look before every time he told her something big was coming. A new job. A new girlfriend. A new dream he hadn't earned. I wasn't paying much attention until my phone buzzed. Just habit. Really? I opened my banking app, expecting the same comforting number I'd memorized down to the last 2 digits. Instead, I saw something I didn't understand. 0. Not exactly 0. But close enough. The number stared back at me. And for a second, I honestly thought it was a glitch. I refreshed. Still there. My hand started shaking. And the sound of Brian laughing felt like it was happening underwater. I looked up from my screen and locked eyes with my mother. Mom. Where's my money? She didn't blink. Didn't even look surprised. Oh, honey? She said. Don't make that face. Brian needed a little help getting started. You're doing fine. You don't need that money right now. I was too stunned to speak. Brian, still scrolling through listings on his phone, added, That place I showed you has a pool. 2-car garage. Solid investment. Thanks. Mel. I turned back to my mother. You emptied my account. She waved her hand, as if I were being dramatic. It's not empty. There's a few hundred left. Besides, I didn't steal it. My name's still on the account. Remember I told you I'd handle it during tax season? You said okay. No. What I said was, you take your name off after tax season. You promised. I have the text. Mom sipped her wine. Don't be petty. Family helps family. Brian needs stability. He's thinking of proposing. He's been dumped twice this year. Mean our details. He'll find someone better. He's got a lot to offer once he has a proper home. Dad cleared his throat, as if he'd just remembered he had vocal cords. Maybe we should have talked to Melissa first. Mom cut him off. She's fine. She has a great job. She'll bounce back. She always does. That's when I stood up. The sound of my chair scraping across the floor felt loud enough to silence the entire room. But no one really stopped. They just kept eating. I grabbed my coat and purse. Mom raised an eyebrow. We haven't had dessert yet. I made your favorite. Chocolate mousse. It's Brian's favorite. I said, mine's tiramisu. But you'd know that if you ever actually listened to me. She called after me. Brian called me selfish. But I didn't stop. At the door, I turned once more. My voice was steady this time. I'm calling the bank tomorrow. And I'm reporting it. She looked like I'd slapped her. We're family, she said. Exactly, I replied. And families don't steal from each other. I didn't sleep that night. I lay on my couch. The city glowing faintly outside my apartment window. The taste of betrayal still raw in my mouth. At some point, I sat up and opened my photo gallery. I'd kept the text. I wasn't even sure why at the time. It was from last April. Mom had written, "Just removed myself from your savings account. Sweetie, took care of it after tax season. You're good to go now." I had replied with a simple thanks. No questions. No hesitation. Just trust. Now I stared at the screen like it was a confession. One I hadn't seen clearly until it was too late. I opened my laptop, pulled up the bank's transfer history, and compared timestamps. The wire to Brian's escrow account had been executed under her login. She hadn't just forgotten to remove herself. She'd lied about it. She'd planned this. Weeks in advance. Months. Maybe. I sat there frozen. The betrayal sinking deeper. It wasn't just the money. It was that she'd looked me in the eye, clinked her wine glass against mine, and told me I was being dramatic. It was that she'd stolen from me and made me feel like the selfish one. I clicked through old emails. One from the bank confirming dual access. Another with a routine reminder to review co-owner status. I'd ignored it back then, assuming everything was fine. Because who thinks their mother is going to gut their future for granite countertops and an open-concept kitchen? My fingers moved without thinking. I created a new folder. Named it Karma File. Inside, I dropped the screenshot of the text. Then, the wire transfer history. Then her birthday dinner photo. Just for context, there was a strange kind of calm in that moment. Like the first clear breath after swimming too long underwater. I didn't know exactly what I was going to do, but I knew I wasn't going to let this go. The next morning, I called Simone. She picked up on the second ring. Her voice was groggy, but warm. "What's going on?" "Mel, you never call this early." I told her everything. Not just the money, but the lie. The way Mom had used her access. The way Brian acted like it was nothing. The text message. The bank transfer. The way my father barely said a word. By the time I finished, she was wide awake. "Okay. First, I'm sorry. That's vile. Second, don't say anything else to them. Forward me everything. Screenshots. Emails. Bank statements. We're going to document everything." Simone wasn't just a friend. She was a corporate attorney who specialized in fraud. We'd met in college and survived grad school on caffeine and shared trauma. I trusted her more than anyone. I did what she asked. Within the hour, she'd built a timeline and listed next steps. Step 1. Report the unauthorized transfer to the bank and freeze any remaining funds. Step 2. Document all communication from now on. No calls. Only texts or email. Step 3. Do not respond emotionally. No matter what they say. "You ready for this?" she asked. I took a breath. Yeah, I think I am. Because I'd spent my whole life being the reliable one. The responsible one. The one who made room. Gave grace. And never asked for anything back. But this was too much. This wasn't just a line being crossed. This was theft. And this time, I wasn't going to stay quiet about it. I wasn't the family fixer anymore. I was done being the fallback. Brian's housewarming party was exactly what I expected: loud, expensive, and half-finished. The front yard was still dirt. The deck smelled of wet paint. Inside, The walls were bare except for a giant mounted television blaring music videos. People milled around with plastic champagne flutes and paper napkins printed with, "Welcome home" in gold script. I brought a bottle of red and a smile I didn't mean. Brian greeted me like nothing had happened. "Melissa, you made it. Look at this place." "Oh yeah," I said. "It's something." He laughed. Already tipsy. And took the wine without thanks. He wore a designer shirt I recognized from a boutique Mom loved. I watched as he led another group of friends through the living room, pointing out custom finishes and talking about planned renovations. It didn't matter that none of it was paid for yet. Brian had always been rich with potential. It was everyone else's job to make that potential real. Mom found me near the kitchen island. She hugged me like we were still close. "I'm so glad you came. Sweetie, we haven't really talked since the misunderstanding. Is that what we're calling it?" Her smile faltered. Before she could respond, I spotted someone across the room and slipped away. David stood near the hallway, drink in hand, laughing with a couple of contractors. He looked older than when I'd last seen him, more successful too. I approached slowly, pretending to scroll on my phone. When he noticed me, his smile tightened. "Melissa. Wow. It's been a minute." I kept my voice even. "Brian says you helped close this deal." "Yeah. He's persuasive. Got the place for a steal." I nodded. "Must have been a creative mortgage process." He chuckled, then leaned closer. "Between friends? Yeah. Some of the income docs were a little flexible. But hey, that's the game. Your mom handled most of the verification stuff." "Really?" He blinked. "Bank's been asking weird questions lately." "You wouldn't know anything about that." "Would you?" "Not a thing." I lied, smiling. More wine. I made a slow lap through the party, stopping here and there to chat, sip, and listen. I didn't need much, just fragments. Brian bragging about closing costs. Mom name-dropping contractors she hadn't paid. David making awkward jokes about appraisals. I kept recording audio in my pocket. Then my phone buzzed. It was an email from the bank. Subject: immediate account action, freeze initiated pending review. I tapped it open, heart thudding, and scanned quickly. The fraud report Simone submitted had triggered a hold on all accounts connected to the disputed funds, including Brian's mortgage account. I found him in the kitchen, deep in conversation with someone from a construction crew. I held up my phone. "Your lender's freezing the account." He frowned. "What? Looks like there's concern about the down payment source and income inflation. You know, minor things." His face drained of color. "Are you kidding?" "Nope. And don't worry, I'm sure David can explain everything." He opened his mouth, then shut it. Behind him, Mom appeared again, holding a half-empty glass. "What's going on? Ask your son. Better yet, ask the bank. They should be calling any minute." I turned and walked out before the shouting started. Out on the lawn, I could already hear one of the contractors asking loudly about a late payment. Guests were exchanging confused looks. David was dialing someone, his voice rising. I got into my car and sat quietly for a moment, letting the engine hum beneath me. The wine bottle I brought was still unopened, left forgotten on the kitchen counter. My phone buzzed again. Simone, confirming the freeze had gone through. Outside, the party was unraveling. Inside my chest, something settled. This was only the beginning. We met at a neutral spot, a little cafe I used to love before everything fell apart. I got there early and picked a corner table by the window. Ordered a latte. Saturday facing the door. They came in together. Mom first, brisk and stiff, dressed like she'd just come from a church brunch. Dad followed, quieter, slower, like he didn't want to be there. He nodded at me. She didn't. We sat. Nobody spoke at first. Finally, she stirred her coffee with a silver spoon and said, "You know, Brian missed 2 days of work this week because of stress. Is that what you wanted? I looked at her. What I wanted was to still have my savings. What I wanted was to not be lied to. She rolled her eyes. That money was just sitting there. Melissa. He needed it. It was my money. I saved for 10 years. You're single. No kids. What were you even going to do with it? I swallowed hard. Buy my own place. Not that it matters. You didn't ask. Dad cleared his throat. Maybe we should have handled this differently. She shot him a look. We did what we had to do for our son. You stole from me. It wasn't theft. My name was still on the account. You told me you removed it. I have the text. She faltered for a second. That was before. Plans changed. Exactly. You changed the plan? Without me? Dad looked at me. Is there any way to fix this? Fix what? Dad, the money, the betrayal, or just the consequences? He sighed. Rubbed his temples. Melissa. We're your parents. And I'm your daughter. The one you thought wouldn't fight back. It happened 3 days later. I was typing out an email at work when I heard the double glass doors burst open. I looked up and saw them, my mother and Brian, storming toward my desk like they owned the building. Melissa. Mom hissed. Her voice shaking. The bank is freezing everything. Your father's retirement. Our savings. Fix this. Brian looked worse than I'd ever seen him. His eyes were red. His shirt untucked. He slammed a hand on my desk. What the hell is wrong with you? I didn't even blink. Security's on their way. You need to leave. You're destroying the family. He barked. Over what? Some stupid money. It wasn't stupid when you used it for your down payment. You said you were fine. You always said you didn't need much. That doesn't mean I wanted you to take it. Mom grabbed my arm. We raised you better than this. No, I said, pulling away. You raised me to be quiet. I decided to be better on my own. 2 security guards appeared behind them. Familiar faces from years of working here. Miss Nguyen. Is everything okay? Yes. Please escort these people out. Brian shouted something I didn't hear. Mom cried. But I turned back to my screen. Hands steady. Not even flinching when the elevator doors closed behind them. They thought I would fold, that I'd always be the responsible one who kept the peace. But I was done keeping peace with people who burned everything and called it love. The family group chat had been quiet for days. Then suddenly, it wasn't. Mom sent a long message. She made it sound like I'd declared war on everyone. My heartless daughter has attacked her own family. Brian is losing everything. I'm in the hospital from stress. Please pray for us in these difficult times. It was designed for maximum pity. Vague enough to feel like truth. Emotional enough to spark outrage. And it worked for about 5 minutes. Aunt Jan replied first. Then, Cousin Marcus. Then Uncle Dennis. All some version of, what's going on? I can't believe Melissa would do that. So I answered, calmly. Since we're sharing family stories, I figured I'd share mine. With receipts. I attached the screenshot of Mom's text from last year, saying she removed herself from my account. Then the bank's fraud report showing her signature on the withdrawal. Then Brian's loan paperwork, showing inflated income. Then a timeline of everything, the transfer, the lie, the party, the freeze. After I hit send, the thread went silent. No more comments. No more outrage. 5 minutes passed. Then 10. Then 20. A notification popped up. Uncle Dennis left the chat. Then Aunt Jan. Then 2 of my cousins. No one said a word. Amazing how quiet people get when the facts speak louder than feelings. That night, I sat at Simone's kitchen table. Legal files covered every surface. She poured me tea instead of wine. Her way of making sure I stayed focused. You sure you want to keep pushing this? She asked. The bank's moving fast. Criminal charges are on the table. It's going to get ugly. I nodded. I'm not doing this out of spite. I'm doing this because if I don't, they'll do it again. To me? To someone else? They think there are no consequences. She leaned back in her chair. Most people would have folded by now. I've spent my whole life folding, giving in, saying yes when I wanted to scream no. I'm done folding. She watched me for a moment, then smiled. You don't look angry. You look clear. Because I am. This isn't about revenge. It's about boundaries. About truth. About not letting people hurt you just because they share your last name. She tapped her pen against the table. The bank's going to subpoena David next. And possibly press mortgage fraud on Brian and your mother. If you want to pull back, now's the time. I shook my head. They made choices. I'm just shining a light on them. Simone nodded slowly. Then picked up her phone. Then let's go all the way. For the first time in weeks, I felt something close to peace. Not because they were losing, but because I was finally choosing myself. The courtroom was colder than I expected. I sat at the plaintiff's table. Papers in front of me. Simone to my right. Across the aisle, Mom sat stiff in a pale blue jacket, clutching her handbag like a shield. Brian looked like he hadn't slept in days. He kept fidgeting, tapping his knee, glancing at the judge like he was waiting for a miracle. There were no reporters. No cameras. Just a small room. 3 people in robes. And everything we hadn't said out loud? When the judge read the findings, I didn't feel triumphant. I felt still. The court finds in favor of the plaintiff. The funds were withdrawn without consent. Under false pretenses. The amount of $120. $0 is to be returned. With interest. Further review into mortgage fraud and possible conspiracy will be passed to the district attorney. Mom let out a soft choking sound. Brian's lawyer stood up. Your Honor? My client would like to propose a private settlement. The judge cut him off. The time for private settlements has passed. The evidence speaks clearly. The plaintiff has been cooperative and consistent. The defendants, however, have not. I glanced at the back row. David sat there, pale and tight-lipped. He'd testified earlier carefully. But truthfully, once the investigators started looking through bank records and loan applications, he folded. He had too much to lose. Brian looked at me, eyes full of something between hatred and pleading. I didn't look away. I didn't flinch. The judge ordered the property to be seized, all joint accounts frozen. Formal charge pending. Court adjourned. As people began to leave, Mom rushed toward me. Patricia. Please. We can fix this. We're still a family. I turned slowly. Were we family when you emptied my account without asking? When you forged loan papers? Or only now? When you need something? Brian joined her. His voice shaking. They're pressing actual charges. I could go to jail. I kept my voice steady. Actions have consequences. Even yours. Dad stood in the doorway. He didn't say much. Just watched. Face heavy. He didn't defend them this time. Didn't step between us. Simone put her hand on my shoulder. My client has nothing more to say. Please direct all future communication through my office. We walked out into the sunlight. This wasn't a win. It was an ending. And for the first time, it was one I had chosen. 2 weeks later, I got the deposit. Iba Arscher. Ling. Prus interest. It hit my account quietly. Like it had never been gone. No alert. No fanfare. Just numbers on a screen. Mine again. I closed my laptop and cried. Not because of the money, but because it finally felt over. That weekend, I toured a 1-bedroom condo in a quiet neighborhood. Hardwood floors. Big windows. A little balcony just big enough for a chair and a potted plant. I didn't ask anyone for advice. I didn't send pictures for opinions. I just signed the offer. The agent handed me the keys with a smile. Congratulations. Melissa. Welcome home. The place smelled of paint and new beginnings. I walked through the empty rooms slowly, my footsteps echoing. No one had ever lived here before. No one had made it theirs. Until now. Simone and Annabelle showed up that evening with paper plates, Chinese takeout, and a bottle of champagne. We sat on the floor, boxes still sealed, eating noodles and laughing like it was our dorm days again. This place is you, Annabelle said. Clean, bright, no clutter, and no shared accounts. I added. Simone raised her paper cup. To boundaries. To consequences. Annabelle grinned. To finally choosing myself. I said. The sun dipped low outside, casting gold across the bare walls. I didn't have furniture yet, or curtains, or a proper wine glass, but for the first time, I had peace. The message came just after sunset. I was on the balcony, sipping tea, watching the city wind down. The air smelled like summer and jasmine. My phone buzzed. One new text. From her. I hope you're happy with what you've done. You've destroyed this family. I stared at it for a long time. Not angry. Not hurt. Just done. She hadn't asked if I was okay. She hadn't apologized. Not once. It was never about what she did. Only about what I refused to let her get away with. I didn't reply. I archived the message and blocked the number. Inside, the new condo felt quiet and wide. I'd unpacked just enough a mattress on the floor, a kettle in the kitchen, a single lamp in the corner. But it already felt like mine. No one had stolen it from me. No one could take credit for it. No one could call it theirs and twist that into something I owed them. Later that night, Annabelle sent me a photo. Brian's house was listed online again. Foreclosure. Everything gone. Then Simone followed up. Charges were filed that morning. Fraud? Conspiracy. Accessory. Another buzz. Unknown number. I didn't open it. Just blocked it. No hesitation. Some stories don't end with forgiveness. Some don't need to. Sometimes, the happiest ending is silence. I poured myself another cup of tea, turned off the lights, and sat back down by the window. The city sparkled in the distance, full of other people learning how to let go. I watched until the sky faded to black, and for the first time in years, I didn't owe anyone a single thing. Not even a reply.